I am Lady Stars of Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and here is the weekly healing messages for April 2nd through the 9th. Now, I hope everyone had a happy Easter. I do wish that all of you had one. With that being said, I'm about to move right on in to the weekly healing messages, and you're seeing a little bit of Neptune over here, my kitty kitty. He tends to show up when I do the videos. Just trying to make sure he doesn't knock the camera down. Anyway, we have so much to discuss, and I'm going to go over the rune cast first. I'm going to go over what spirit guidance is second, and then I'm going to jump into the astrology. But you really do want to wait and listen for what the astrology has to say, because it really helps explain and bring full circle for what it is that of the guidance I'm being given to give to you through the runes and spiritual energy in general. Now, because there's so much going on in astrology, and it's really important because this is one of those like 2-3 week things that you really need to make sure that you got right in order to move forward in the most positive way. Anyway, let's start off with, I was given alges originally for the spirit guidance this week as far as a rune, and alges speaks to us. You can always go back to my website, check there for what the runes look like, because I do not have them in front of me. Or you can hit any of my social media area where I will also have that rune cast posted. But alges is the first one, and alges speaks to us of expansion of our consciousness. But it speaks to us also of protection. It is a defense, a protection defense that can be used or maybe possibly needed at this time. But it also speaks to us of using yourself as the actual channel. It is spiritual world working, spiritual connecting, spiritual self, connecting to your higher self. But alges tends to reveal harsh experiences that we need to go through in order for us to learn and be taught powerful lessons. Now, with that being said, alges is working directly with Ansus this week. And that's actually working also with the astrology of Mercury at the time. But when I get back to the astrology, you'll understand that. Because Ansus speaks to us of the inspiration through communication. Inspiration, knowledge, and capabilities that can be brought to you through proper communication, including music and poetry. But I'm really getting this week also. Part of that is are you finding yourself on which side of the flip, which side of the coin, so to speak, would you be finding yourself on for Ansus? Are you being inspired and bringing out that communication through yourself and out to the world properly? And that inspiration is bringing that communication out, or is someone else's thinking being dominant to you and dictating to you and confusing what it is that you truly want to deal with? Is it changing your thinking? Because that's what Ansus is coming with this week. It's asking you, are you getting that proper communication? Are you getting that proper inspiration? Or are you allowing someone else to dominate your thinking, therefore also dominate how things are going in your life that maybe you don't realize you have been? And that could be a big key factor for this week. Canez is definitely part of this week. It's creativity. It deals with creativity and skill, but it's a fire energy. This is a very masculine energy week. It's, in general, it is. But Canez is a fire energy that can inspire and bring out the capabilities and your skills to do so. It's the start button. It's the go. It's the ignition button. But it also deals with your personality, manifesting your personal characteristics, your character in general, as well as it can deal with sexual energy, and it can deal with children, because children are of you. They were created from you, so therefore they are also your fire in general. But for those who are having a harder time sifting through these energy shifts, because for the next 2 weeks, there's going to be major energy shifts coming about as we come to the end of that 2 weeks. And for you empaths, you are definitely feeling it, especially for those of you who are having trouble separating yourself from others. you're going to be feeling a little bit more, is what I'm being told by them. You may feel a little bit more, instead of the alges, the onsus, and the kinez, you may be feeling a little bit more in the energy of Thorisol. And Thorisol is Thor from Norse mythology. Thor and his hammer. It is the warrior. It is lightning and thunder. Now, y'all know how I feel about lightning and thunder. Thorisol is speaking to us of both the positive and the negative coming together. But it is speaking to you of action versus reaction, or action that creates reaction. It is the breaker of resistance. That's why Thor's hammer is what it's known to be with. It speaks to us of reminding us that it's not just the breaker of resistance, and it's the catalyst of change in general, Thorisol is, but it also reminds us in some way or another, for whatever reason it may be, all of those that oppose you are there to be teachers to you, even if they are teaching you something about yourself by the action that is being created from you at the time of Thorisol. So there's a little bit of information that's connecting you with the runes themselves as we go through this week. But I am going to tell you, over the next 2 weeks, there's just so much energy going on. And we are definitely speaking about this week for this week's healing messages. But the way the astrology is working right now, it is definitely kind of carrying this energy up through the next 2.5 weeks. And I'll get to that in a second when I get to the astrology. But we are seeing heightened sensitivity because of some of those planetary changes. And that's going to be a universal thing. And for those who are more spiritually connected, so to speak, who have started to ascend into different areas and are working on unblocking their chakras and whatnot, they're coming into a new attunement, a new alignment. And within that, you also start to see that heightened sensitivity. And I do mean, you may be noticing, anything from the head in general, headaches, earaches, jaw, teeth, sneezing, when there's not really a cold. Okay? You might be just feeling sore in your teeth or your jaw, the headaches, the earaches, the poppings of the ears, the knees, the joints, the feet, your skin, not skin, but your bones just may feel sore. And that has to do with Chiron moving. But Chiron is not the only thing that's going to be making this happen. And when I get to the astrology, I'll explain that a little bit better. But these higher sensitivities might be helping move you into a new alignment, a new attunement, as well as unblocking some of those chakras as you are moving up and ascending basically closer to your higher authentic self, your soul self. You're getting closer to being there and in a better alignment and balance, truthfully. Now, I am being told this week also that you should pay attention to the birds. Okay, first off, birds in general are a great spirit guide for this week. If a bird pops up in your life that's especially unusual, maybe you should Google that, because there might be some information for you. Because I'm being given birds left and right. But what I'm being shown directly for the video is to tell you to pay attention to how birds fly. Because sometimes it's not that they're flying at all. Sometimes they're just simply gliding. See, a bird uses its energy to get up and fly, but once it's up there, and sometimes it's not even all about getting up into the sky ever so high. Sometimes it's about simply that the bird has learned it's not about staying afloat. No. The bird has learned part of its flying energy that keeps it up so high, elevated in the sky, is quite simply, it works with the elements. It works with those upshifts, those gusts of wind, and allows it to glide and take it where it needs to go. Don't work so hard at trying to stay afloat. That will never work. Learn to glide is what they're saying. And it will help you throughout this week as well as all of these energy shifts that are coming in. Now, I'm also going back to last week. Last week, I told everybody that I was being given the Apostle Paul, and I still am. And I'm being given that we are working directly with the fifth ray of light, which is truth and healing science. But the Apostle Paul deals with that fifth ray of light, and so does Archangel Raphael, the master healer. And it has to do with truth, but not just what you think is true. It's the deeper root. It's the hidden truth within the truth. It's the truth that typically is unseen that's being brought to your attention. It's the truth of everything. Best way of me putting that, you look at this picture right here. You see a picture. Well, that's not exactly true. That's a wall. There's a picture on the wall, and it's not even a picture. It's a leaf. See, for me, that my truth, that's a memory that helps me deal with the fifth ray. That helps me remember somewhere in here and somewhere in here, there has to be a constant flow. One can't overrun the other, because then it'll be only my mind thinking. And my mind may not be thinking clearly, may not be thinking clean. But my heart can work with that, and that constant flow will lead me to the truth. But you have to have that. This is a memory that reminds me to make sure I do so. See, this is what I'm saying. You want to make sure you're getting the bigger truth. Apostle Paul reminds us this week that the way we choose to think about things, the way we choose to perceive them, view them, think of them, positive or negative, and see it through, is key. Because that is going to be part of the major changes that's going to be taking place as we work through Mercury retrograde. And this Mercury retrograde is incredibly important. But it's not fully important because it's Mercury. It has to do with the other planets that it's dealing with. Now, with that being said, I'm also being given the number 4. The 4 for me typically means we are remembering this has to do with creation, with creating anew. But on a bigger scale than just us, this has to do with universal law. There is always 4 elements. There is always 4 parts of the day. There is always 4 seasons. Some things cannot be changed. We are dealing with recreating. It's the time of resurrection. But we are dealing with creating in general. And you got to remember, you can't go outside of universal law, because the universe is at work too. And if you try to mess up the universe's level of at work, it's just going to come back and backfire on you. So you want to work with the elements, just like I said with the birds. You want to glide. Work with the elements to work for you, not against you. This is a time of breaking chains and finally setting yourself free from something in some way, or differences that you're learning to overcome within your life and move forward so that those new changes can happen. That takes you right back to understanding Thorisol. It's the catalyst of change. But it's also reminding us to find what it is that opposes us so we can learn as we change. Can't always fight everything on egotistical reasons and get the right healing answers as you move forward. So sometimes it's about learning about yourself too. Now, I'm also being told from Spirit, though, don't take everything so seriously. Life is life. That's it. Life is life. There is no normal life. Life is life, so just get on with it. If you get in your head too drastically right now, especially with Mercury retrograde, with what is going on, you may turn around and do the exact opposite of what Apostle Paul is trying to help you with. He's telling you to use your thinking in a positive way, an uplifting way, a spiritual, soulful way to help move you forward and ascend in a better way within your life. But sometimes when we get in our head, we get in our head too deep, and we start getting in our head about everything that makes us doubt and question ourselves. And this is what Spirit's saying. Right now, be a little bit more light about it. Yes, trust your gut. Yes, think things through. Yes, use your intelligence here, but don't overthink it to where you're putting yourself in the negative. If that's the situation, just get out of your head, because you're not going to get anything that you need to get done accomplished at this time. Get out of your head when it's turning into doubt and negative and fears and things that are going to take you the other way. Your thinking needs to be positive. You're going to be seeing masculine energy this week, which definitely is a fire energy, but it's also action, aggression, and passion. But like I said, we're told to glide. So you want to make sure that this energy of this actions that we're taking come naturally. If you're having to work so hard for it, then maybe it's because you're not working with the elements and you're not gliding. And this is what I'm trying to get through to you right now. Because I am also given, by spirit, I'm given the dragon blood tree. Not incense or oils or ink. I'm given dragon blood tree itself. And they are bringing to my attention to definitely pay attention to how the dragon blood tree stretches up, reaches up to the heavens. And that it's reaching up to the light, to the positivity. Even though the dragon blood tree reminds us not just of protection in general and purification in some forms, but what they're being directed to me is the reaching for the light and the positive defense that the dragon blood tree brings to your attention. So that also works directly with algae. Okay. Now, as we go into astrology, before I jump into that astrology thoroughly, I want to remind you, because our emotions always deal with our emotions and our emotional depths, deal with how the moon moves throughout the week. And we're moving out of Libra because we just had the full moon in Libra. And that automatically, that full moon in Libra is all about the scales. It teaches you where harmony is lacking, where balance is lacking, because that's what it's meant to do. Libra shows you the scales so you can create the balance and harmony that was lacking. It's got to show you where it wasn't first so they can properly put it in scale to be balanced. Now, with that being done, because the full moon has now passed and you can start moving forward, it speaks to us as it moves through Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is always an intense mystery sign, plain and simple. It brings, hold on, Neptune, my cat. It brings all kinds of dramatic sensitivity. Anything in Scorpio that is felt to the nines. I mean, you feel the love, you'll feel the sweetness, you feel the joy, you feel the purity, you feel the betrayal, you'll feel the anger. Scorpio heightens it. And then is the mystery. It's I always call Scorpio Sherlock Holmes. It needs to know everything about everything, and it needs to know why. So what you want to do is that's why you're being told this week, don't get in your head in a negative way. Make sure you're staying in a positive way. Do not let that Scorpio energy in the beginning of the week pull you into that negativity. It will not help you. Then it moves into Sagittarius, where it is a brush fire of passion and curiosity for knowledge. It wants to know more, but it's also passionate and ready and on the go. And then we move into Capricorn. We move into Capricorn, the moon does, and it starts to become more settled, more looking for the concrete answer, more into a proper foundation, and how can we build on this area and strengthen what it is we were trying to move forward in our emotional depths, as well as our psychic abilities, because your moon deals with those psychic energies as well. Now, let me jump straight into this week of astrology, as well as what I'm trying to get at. For the next 2 weeks, I have been telling everybody, Chiron, Chiron, Chiron. Period. Let's just say Chiron. But it's mainly going to be Aries and Capricorn are having this communication. But it's because of Chiron that it's so intense. Chiron is about to jump from Pisces to Aries, from the universal 12th house to the 1st house. Chiron is the wounded healer. He is done with the 12th house universally, which means wherever he is in your actual chart, yes, he's talking to you in that area. But period, this is a time when he goes from that 12th house to the first house. The wounded healer is about to start a new cycle. So did you heal? Did you learn? And when it's the last 2 weeks before a planet moves, I tell people over and over and over again, it's when you get the slap upside your head from the planet going, hey, did you get the memo? Because I think you missed this. I think you didn't get this memo that I've been trying to teach you since I've been in this sign. Basically, Chiron has been in the sign with Neptune in Pisces for quite some time, but it's about to move to Aries and it's going to be there for 9 years, outside of when it will go retrograde and jump back into Pisces temporarily. But this is going to be a time when Pisces energy of denial, magic, and healing creation takes place through Chiron. He works through that energy I was talking about, what this is to me, of what your thinking is and what your heart and soul knows and needs. It is a clear connection. He's trying to fix that clear connection so that all parts of your life can be healed. He is the gatekeeper of wholeness. And he's going from the 12th house to the first house. And so for the next 2 weeks, what he's trying to give you is highly important. But more importantly than just Chiron doing it, when Chiron comes in and starts speaking to you, he's comes in with like 2 guns in his hand. And those 2 guns would be Saturn and Uranus. Saturn is rules, boundaries, walls. And why are they there? Are they good? Are they good rules, boundaries, and walls? Or are they not supporting you in any way, shape, or form? And it's time to tear them down and create ones that do work, basically. And it's also time to decide maybe we should test our rules, our boundaries, and our walls. Don't forget, in 2 weeks, the same day that Chiron moves into Aries, Saturn also goes retrograde. So right now, Saturn is in shadow, so to speak, questioning those rules, those boundaries, and those walls, and making you look at those darker sides that you may not want to look at. But he's doing it because when he goes in retrograde, he's going to help you decide how to build those new walls, boundaries, and rules for positive ways that are more healthy and more in proper service to you now that we're not serving you anymore, basically. He's helping you realize what's no longer serving you as far as those rules, those boundaries, and those walls go. And he is speaking directly through Chiron to Uranus, which is in Aries, and that is going right where Chiron is going. It is speaking to you of your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, and how to invent yourself the way you want to, with the proper rules, boundaries, and walls. Chiron is bringing that healing in with his 2 guns of Saturn and Uranus with him as he does this, but he's moving closer to Mercury retrograde, which is in Aries, in that universal first house where the brand new cycles begin. And Mercury retrograde right now, I'm telling you, is just picking up all of this energy, and Mercury retrograde is playing the mediator. This isn't like a normal Mercury retrograde. Mercury is turned inwardly, so your communication is with yourself. But he's playing mediator with Chiron as Chiron makes this major shift. And this is going to be happening for the next 2 weeks. Right as Mercury comes out of retrograde, Saturn goes in retrograde, and Chiron actually makes that move. And that is where these shifts of energies are coming from as this all takes place. And that's where, some of these, because of the way the planets affect the physical body, depending on what it is the planet is talking to you about and what chakra it needs healing, it is dealing with, the eyes feeling heavy and puffy and swelling, and the jaws and the teeth hurting, and the bones hurting, the knees, the toes, the feet, the whole head in general. These areas may be being affected because of the shift. So it's something for you to know as you're working through it. It's just the planets doing what they do as the symphony plays its song, basically. Now, also on the 2nd, which is today, Vista is moving into Capricorn. And Vista is our soul fire. Vista is the home and the hearth. But right here is your first home and hearth. Not just this. This is your first home and hearth. So Vista is the soul fire of your very soul moving into Capricorn. Now you're going to hear me speak about that when I get to Capricorn and start talking about what's going on this week. You also have to remember Uranus. I've been telling people for almost a year now, Uranus is going to be moving. It's going to be moving as well as Saturn and Chiron. But it's moving in May. So you got a month and a half. You got a month and a half before it moves. And it's going to take the whole month smacking you in the head, teaching you what it is that you didn't learn from the universal first house of Aries, of your independence, your individuality, your freedom, your uniqueness. And this is why this energy is coming in so powerful right now, because once Uranus moves, it will not be back to Aries for 65 years. And you're down to the last month of Uranus being able to talk to you about what you need to know about your soul healing, which takes you right back to that 5th ray of truth and soul discovery. Okay, Pluto also is going to be going into retrograde at the end of this month. So that's so much energy coming at you. Of course, you're going to be feeling it, especially if you're an empath, and especially if you're coming into your psychic energies in any way, shape, or form. Now, this week alone, the challenges are Aries itself is squaring Capricorn. Aries is Mercury, which is in retrograde, which I said is playing mediator right now with yourself, as well as your understanding of the outer world, so that you can inwardly figure it out and learn how to turn it around with that proper communication. You've got Mercury in retrograde. You've got Uranus, your individuality, your independence, your uniqueness, and your freedom. And the Sun, which is the core, the very core in Aries, all speaking to, because they're so close to Chiron jumping in there. Chiron is playing with that energy. Don't act like it ain't. Chiron is in there, is talking to that energy, and as it's getting closer, it's going to be going on that energy, basically. But those 3 signs, your core, Uranus, and Mercury, meaning your Sun, Uranus, Mercury, communication, independence, individuality, freedom, and your core energy is speaking to Capricorn in the universal 10th house of either your careers and goals or the outer community, basically, in general. And it is speaking to Lilith of going, you can't make me do anything I damn well don't want to do, because that's just the way I am. I'm Lilith. You can't make me do it. But it's also speaking with Mars. Right there is your masculine energy. Mars is sitting right even with Saturn right now. And Mars is the warrior. It's your action. It's your defense. It is your inner SWAT team. Speaking to Saturn. Saturn, your rules, your boundaries, and your walls. And this is in your outer community of what's outside of you. Okay, so this is where that defense energy is coming in this week. And this is why it's important for you to stay positive, not negative. And don't forget, Vista just moved in. So you've got in that outer community of that 10th house where you can build on your new foundations of your careers, your goals, your outer communities in general. And I put it that way because I'm speaking on a universal level. You have Vista, which is your soul fire, speaking to that defense system in general, that fire, that aggression, that passion, and that action of Mars masculine energy with Lilith is, I'm not going to do anything I damn well don't want to do. And Saturn's rules, boundaries, walls. So these are going to be big questions hitting your independence, your inner communication, and your core this week. And it's important, again, to stay positive. Stay towards that 5th ray of truth. See past the picture on the wall. See the whole wall for what it truly is. Now, you also have, for challenges this week, you have, don't forget, Libra right now has some very important information going on, and most people are not going to speak about Libra, because Libra has Maki in it, and it has Haumea in it, and Haumea is your collective consciousness, and how that collective consciousness grows and matures. Basically, it's the growth of the fertility of your collective consciousness as it matures. Maki, I don't know how many times I can say it. It is the lotus flower. Where are you on the path of the growth of the lotus flower? Are you still in the water? Are you breaking through that muddy water? Or are you starting to bloom? And it is squaring Aries again. It is squaring your inner communication. It is squaring your core energy. It is squaring your individuality. Okay, and your independence and your freedom. It's asking you questions about what it is you truly want and why. And bringing that collective consciousness into view along with where it is you truly are on the line and the goal of what it is you want to be. And you may find you're not exactly where you hoped that you thought you were. But it's time to start stepping up to the plate and fix that so that you can move forward. And that is what Libra is all about right now, bringing that balance forward by showing you where it's not quite where you thought it was, so it can make it and bring you into harmony. And this is important because you're not going to get in that harmony until after these all start to move forward. You may start to see it and start to create it, but if you're not getting in that healthy movement of getting in that harmony, that balance, before all of these planets finish, especially before Uranus moves, you're going to have bigger problems getting in place after. So this is an important time. Now, also, you have positive energies this week. Is Chiron itself is speaking to Jupiter. It is two waters speaking to one another. They're just bringing the healing forward. But Jupiter is in the universal 8th house of Scorpio, which speaks to us of that resurrection, of the rebirthing, of the fertility, and that healing moving forward as the rebirthing takes place. So Chiron is speaking to Jupiter about it, but Jupiter is magnifying that higher energy, that higher knowledge, and abundance that needs to be seen in order to create it to be so within the relationships and what it is your relationships are responsible for, because that's your universal 8th house. So this is dealing with relationships, and do not forget, relationships are always about anything you care about, not just your loved ones, not just your children or your family. If you have no money, you know about your relationship with no money. So this is about what your relationships are responsible for. You also have the node in Leo. The North Node in Leo is speaking to Chiron, Mercury, and Aries in a positive way, helping to trine that energy and help you find that harmony so you can move forward. But Chiron is going to be showing you the lion herself and the courage that she has. I'm being shown the lion's eyes and the passion that can come through, making sure that that creative 5th house of Leo is able to bring you forward. So many things are positive for you right now, but don't forget, Juno is speaking with Scorpio. Commitment and sacrifice.